Hello everyone. In this video, we are going to look at some of the miscellaneous features of Analytics Center, which is around print, email, export, and scheduling features. Once a report or dashboard has been created, users oftentimes have a need of either printing it out or downloading it in certain format, or maybe even emailing it to someone else. And at times they want it to be automatically delivered to their mailbox where they can subscribe to a particular report or dashboard. So those features are all covered in Analytics Center, which I'm going to cover next. Before that, if I go to settings, go to Analytics Center, select on a particular role, go to permissions. So over here, you can see what kind of permissions a particular user has been given or a particular role has been given. For example, if I go switch to administrator and go to permissions, you'll see a lot more permissions has been given over here. So if you go to scheduling, you can see that if the user has ability to schedule or subscribe to reports, there's email. So you can select whether what kind of delivery methods are supported for this people belonging to this role, whether it is a link in the email, embedded HTML, or sent as an attachment, and what formats are supported. Also, while exporting, what formats are supported. So you can selectively disable some format if it is not allowed in your organization or if it is working slow for you for some reason. Okay, so let's look at analytics. And if I go and open a report, so this report has a combination chart, a tree map, and a pivot table. Now behind the scene, this is connecting to a table which has a lot of data. So all of data would be downloaded on the exported document or email. You are going to see how that works. So the first feature we are going to look at is print. So when I click on print, you can see it is saying it is printing it now. It might take few seconds depending on how much data is being downloaded or how much data is being brought down based on the queries which you have used on the report. In my case, as you saw, there were 3 charts and all of them had a lot of data behind the scene. So depending on the data, it might take time to process it, but it would be just few seconds usually. So as you can see, it opened a print preview window in the background. There is a print view in the browser, and there is a print preview, and then I can print it. I'm going to close this dialog. Next, we are going to look at the email feature. Let's click on email. I'm going to give an email ID. Okay, so I entered an email ID. Now next, what I can do is I can put some kind of macros in my email subject. So by default, the macro uses report name, but if I wanted to have more macros, there is a list of macros I can put in my email subject. So I can design my email subject. One thing which you will notice is in order to close this dialog, you have to click on this. Next thing is, how do you want this to be delivered? It can be a link. It can be sent as embedded HTML. An attachment. Link would obviously be faster because it doesn't have to prepare any email content. The other ones might take few seconds. So I'm going to go with link first. And again, the email body itself can be customized as well. I'm going to go ahead and click send. It tells me that the email has been sent successfully. So if I switch back to the mailbox, there's an email. If you note, the subject line has name of my report, and it sent it to me with, it knows that, okay, I'm the user, and it sent it a link to me to open this report. Next, we are going to look at embedded HTML. I'm going to go ahead and click send. It might take few seconds for it to process because it has to query all that data, render the charts, and then embed it in an HTML. So in few seconds, you see this message. Click OK. If I switch back to the mailbox, now I have those rendered inline in my email. Okay. Next, let's look at the third option, which is attachment. I can select the format of an attachment. I'm going to go with Excel and click send. There are other attachment types, as you can see. I'm going to just stick with Excel for now. Again, it might take few seconds because it is going to query all that data, all the rows. There are thousands of rows in my database, and then it is going to prepare an Excel sheet and mail it out. It would be few seconds before I see this message. Click OK. If I go back to the mailbox, I now have an Excel sheet where there are now 3 tabs. First tab has the combination chart, the second one has the tree map, and the third one has the pivot table. So now I'm going to move on to the next feature, which is export. Now, depending on what formats have been enabled by your tenant administrator, you will see different formats: Word, Excel, PDF, CSV, XML, JSON. Query execution format is if you wanted to see what query is being triggered by this report, you can actually download it. It's a text file. It shows you what query was being used on this report. As I mentioned, I'm actually selecting a lot of rows from the database. Next, you can also download the query definition, the report definition file. I'm going to again do the Excel. As you can see, it shows a progress that an Excel sheet is being generated. It might take a few seconds. So as I can see, there is an Excel sheet. If I click on it, it has the 3 charts which are available. So those were the 3 manual options, right? Print, email, and export. I could email the report to somebody else, a manager, somebody outside as well who doesn't have access to the Agile Point portal if my organization allows me to do that. This is all controlled through settings, of course. Or you can export it and then send it out manually as well. But what if you wanted to automate it? That's where the subscribe option comes into picture. So if I click on subscribe, I can add a new subscription. I can specify my schedule. So I can say I'm subscribing to a reporting item, which is a report in this case. It lets me specify my time zone. So in my case, I'm going to say I'm in this time zone, Pacific time zone in US. The start date, just like you would do in an Outlook calendar, and then you can specify a start time. So you can specify time. This is a 24-hour format in case you're entering it. So it can be like 21 hours would be 9 o'clock Pacific. And then you can pick the frequency. You can say every day, weekday, week, 2 weeks, month. So depending on what option you are selecting, it will open up some of the other options if required. So for example, if I did custom occurrence, so it can give me all the options over here, like a scheduler. And then I'll just say every day. And then in the delivery mechanism, I can specify whether I want this to be delivered as an email or a file location. It gets dropped to a file location. So I'll say email most likely. And then I can say whether it's a link, attachment, or embedded HTML. And then the same thing which I did in the email functionality, I can customize the email subject and email body. Now, if I was working with a report which had some kind of filters enabled, it would have asked me to specify those the default values for those filters as well. The same thing goes when I'm emailing it out. So it would have shown me that option. My report did not have a filter, but if I was using one, it would ask me to enter my filters as well. And then I can just go ahead and click OK and set up the subscription. So with this, you can handle a lot of report delivery mechanisms right from within your browser. Thanks a lot for your time.